Hello, welcome to my channel. Another bibliophile reads. My name is Greg, and I am participating in a read-along of Isaac Asimov's Foundation Trilogy with Grix, etc. And he has already posted 2 short videos about his opinions on what he's read so far. Now, I have only read the first book last month, and I have been very derelict in my duties and haven't posted a thing about what I thought about this book. Now, I am holding up this really nice old paperback edition. I actually read an ebook version from the library because the print is very small. And in order to read that, I'd have to pull out my reading glasses. And I don't always read with my reading glasses, so I read this in a digital format. And again, I think these old paperbacks of the Foundation series are just really well done. They have a certain style to the cover that you don't see anymore. And they're not only just, they have the uniformity of look, but different color. And I just like the paperback versions, even though I don't like the print size. So if you want some real in-depth knowledge and discussion about what's going on in the Foundation, go ahead and look at Grix's videos, because he's a philosophy student, and he's really reading deeply into these books, where I just sort of read the book. Now, this is not the first time that I've read Foundation. I originally read this in 1995, and the first story, because this is not really a novel. This is a collection of novellas, let's call them. And the first novella just blew me away. It's about the story of, what is his name again? Harry Seldon, who is a psychohistorian, and he claims that he can predict the future. And this is not individual events. These are the grand schemes of history. These are the earth-shaking events that happen to civilizations, not individual people. Well, anyway, this is the far, far future, and there's a galactic empire. And Harry Seldon is saying that the empire is going to fall based on historical precedents and him looking at the future, or analyzing what the future could bring. And he says it's going to fall, and there's going to be 1,000 years of chaos. But Harry Seldon has a solution to minimize that loss of 1,000 years. So it won't be as drastic, won't be as bad, and maybe not even as long. And then it goes into a second story where Harry Seldon has been dead for quite a while, but he has predicted an event that's going to happen in the future. And he gets basically a hologram version of himself saying, you have reached a crisis in the civilization, and you must solve this crisis in order to advance further. Because what he wants to do is make a foundation, which is going to be creating a galactic encyclopedia of all human knowledge. And this foundation is formed to write this encyclopedia. Now, that's just part of the story. I won't get into the rest of the story because there's some interesting twist to that. But the main thing I want to talk about is Harry Seldon's prediction that the empire will fall. Now, in our current society, we don't actually have a galactic empire, but we do have nations, and we do see nations rise and fall, and nations encounter a crisis, and the leaders of that nation must solve this crisis in order to move to the next, go to the next level, to maintain their nationality, their empire, whatever you want to call it. And when I was reading this, as I said, I originally read it in 1995. I had a second reread in 2013, but it's only in 2023 that I really started to think about how nations can fall and how nations can have a crisis that can push that nation, push that empire over the edge. And I can't help thinking about our society today and how, at least in the United States, we are actually facing a very big crisis. And this crisis could cause our nation or our democracy to fall. And I wonder how much of that would have been predictable in the past from this psychohistorian saying, eventually, nations will fall. And there was a book called The Rise and Fall of the Great Powers. I don't actually remember the author right now, but he's the one that predicted, or he said, if you look at history, you will see that nations rise and fall. And I think he was basically saying that it could be predicted. No, I did not read that book, so I don't think he was an exact as Harry Seldon is in these stories. And the exactness of Harry Seldon stretches credibility, but it makes a good story. Anyway, so how do these people solve these crises? Well, they create their little plans and their schemes, and they overcome the first crisis. And then after the first crisis, they learn a new revelation about what their true purpose is in existence for this foundation. And then you skip ahead where you have a character that was a young man in the second story, and he's an older man in the third story. And again, they are facing another crisis. And again, Harry Seldon makes an appearance versus let's just say a holograph. And this one is really fascinating because it talks about not necessarily the nation's falling, but how to prevent it from falling. And his end of the first crisis was religion. Turn the foundation into a religion. And after the second crisis, it comes out that, religion was just a tool to help you over those years and proceed further into making this foundation. And again, I found that fascinating. And I still wonder about today's beliefs because, religion is still an important part of a lot of societies today. Although in Europe, religion is not quite as important as it used to be, but Americans seem to be hanging on to their religion with quite fervor. They don't want to let it go. And maybe they should read Foundation, because essentially what Isaac Asimov was writing in the 50s, and this book was published in 1951. I believe some of the stories may have been written earlier, but late 40s, 50s, that's the time frame that Isaac Asimov was writing. But his knowledge, his predictions about what is important to the rise and falls of nature, about the importance of religion to society, still holds very much true today. And that's what I took out of it. Now, I am not a real philosopher. I did not study philosophy the way Grix studied philosophy. So again, if you want a more in-depth analysis, I would go watch his videos because he talks a bit about free will and determinism. And that is actually one of the few philosophy classes that I did take at university. And he talks about if you understand every particle in the universe, it would be possible to predict the future. And if you can predict the future, do people actually have free will to decide what they want to do? Now, if you get on the quantum level, again, this is getting very, very interesting. Quantum particles behave in ways that are very hard to predict, but they're hard to predict maybe because we just don't understand everything. So that is another little element to these books. Now, in a few days, I am going to be picking up the second of the series, Foundation and Empire. This is going to be a reread for me. I listened to the audiobook in 2013 when I reread this book. So next week, I pick up this one. I honestly don't remember a whole lot about this one. So it's going to be like a fresh read to me. So next week, on to Foundation and Empire for the group read. After that is going to be the second Foundation. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to find time to read this. We're coming up to August, and August is going to be a very busy reading month for me. But I may be able to get the audiobook out of the library and squeeze it in August. At least that is my hope. And finally, after this is all said and done, I hope to say that I have read the entire Asimov Foundation trilogy. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.